Abby Hall, UTMB week, you're finally making your debut. How are you feeling? I guess 3 or 4 days, but before the giant lap.
We're finally here. We did it. We got here.
And it's been a journey. Oh my God.
It really has. Yeah.
I know you've talked about it a bunch, but maybe just for those who are uninitiated, just quickly encapsulate what the last 1.5 or 2 years has looked like for you, because it has been, quite a journey to get to the start line this weekend.
Totally. Yeah. Last June, so June 2023, had a accident on the trails that took me out for quite a while. So I had a pretty major surgery last July, so 13 months ago, bone, ligament, tendon, all the things, and have been busy working my way back here. But UTMB has been a beacon through it all, mainly because it was kind of a dream deferred. Like, I was on the start list for last year.
And we were all so excited.
I was so excited. Yeah. Like, after 3 years at CCC, I was excited to change it up. And like right away in the hospital, minute 0, Cordis and I are like, UTMB 2024. And so it became the beacon through a lot of hard times. And so to finally make it to this point in the journey feels like a big one. So I'm really happy to be sitting here with you right now.
I was just saying to you that, what a brutal, 13 months or whatever it was, and being so excited to see you race here. I follow this guy, Jerry Colonna, and he has this sort of idea about crucible moments in your life. And I don't know, there's something about it. I don't think he came up with the concept, but I resonate with it deeply. And those crucible moments are very important in a lot of ways. I had my midlife crisis in 2019, and it was awful, but also sort of fertilized for what became Freetrail. Is there anything that you've thought about in regards to that? Do you identify this as a crucible moment of your life and career?
Absolutely. I had never been through anything nearly this hard, so I feel really lucky that this was the curveball that shook me the most. But a lot of it, the pain kind of came from how much I love this. And I had a lot of moments early on where I was realizing I was just, hell-bent on returning to the sport. It could have easily been, I think, a transition point into something else, but I was so focused on getting back that it really drew out why and how I love this so much. And the extent that I'm willing to go to try and pursue bringing out my best at this, but also the peripheral reasons for why it's good too. How having goals, frames our journeys in life and the people we get to share it with along the way, and the personal markers of, goal attainment and all that, are just stuff that's, really, really helped me get through some hard times this year.
Is it accurate that you haven't raced since June 2023?
I did one small local race in Arizona. I did the trail marathon at Zane Grey.
This year?
This year, in April.
I was searching through your results archive, and I was like, wow, UTMB is a rough way to rip the Band-Aid off.
Oh my gosh. And I have felt the weight of that, I think, really in the last 6 to 8 weeks of just that emotional swing. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I basically haven't raced, I got to hop in a local thing, which was really fun, but definitely so different than, towing the line at UTMB. And that emotional swing has been a lot. And there have definitely been times where I'm wow, remind me why I made this my big goal to return back to. But
because really there typically is more of a process, right? Of coming to UTMB. It's obviously the biggest race in the world, and you have the capability to compete against anybody, but you have come through this crucible moment. How do you build confidence to know that you're ready? Or are you even coming into it with that mindset? Is it more about the joy and the process of coming back?
I mean, for me, it's definitely this blend of getting to the start line is a win, but I also have high expectations and goals for myself. And I'm holding both of those feelings. I think, this sport is one, I think especially these longer distances, there's so much learning involved through experience that the fitness journey doesn't always capture, I think there's a reason why like we see so many people take years to like really develop excellence at it. So I'm really trying to like draw on things I've learned in the sport over the years, and like maybe some of the more like obtuse ways that I've built confidence over the last year in terms of my own recovery. I was hoping to get to a start line before this, but was having some like IT band issues on my non-surgical leg, which just like ended up being at the perfectly wrong time. So I was planning to race the 90K at Marathon de Mont Blanc. Didn't make it to that start line, immediately shifted focus to UTMB.
So talk about that process, because that probably was a heavy decision to make. Like, you probably didn't feel healthy enough, but an insecure athlete may rush into just forcing their way through it as a way to build confidence for UTMB. What made you feel like the right thing to do was to let go a little bit?
I mean, it was like a little bit out of my hands at that point. Like, I truly was unable to run for probably 10 to 12 days in there. Like, it just came on super quickly after a volume block. And then like, you know, I just knew it wasn't like the right time to be getting on a plane and heading across the ocean, and then just decided to focus on staying home and getting the right treatment with my people and flag staff. So that was the right call. And then also like, I mean, one thing like my coach and I have been saying this whole time is kind of like, it's either going to work or it's not. And like, we've been approaching it as like, let's really go for it, or it's not going to work. Not like this middle ground of like, let's, you know, like just keep like lowering the volume or like widening it to like, you know, make any, I don't know.
There's only one way
like,
to find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, like I'm either going to work and I'm either going to be able to like tolerate the training to like do this in the way I want to do it, or I'm not. And like, that's that.
I love it. So you just sort of mentioned learning how to race and that being a critical thing. And it's striking me that this is really relevant to your specific journey with this week, because you have done 3 CCCs. You're one of the, you know, highest performing Americans in whatever it's been the last 5 or 7 years since you started that CCC journey, 2 podiums. What have you learned about like how to do this week well?
Yeah, I mean, like there's definitely each year the week here seems to get like a bit crazier and crazier. And so I've definitely tried to like find my kind of like, you know, inner like space where I can just like relax and decompress amidst all the craziness. And I think the athletes that usually do the best here can kind of like thrive in the hype and like enjoy the hype rather than kind of trying to fight it and work against it. So I really try and lean into like, this is exciting because this is such a big opportunity. And this is the most competitive, I mean, one of the most competitive trail races in the world, because everyone's here and they're coming from all corners of the world to compete. So for me, like hype kind of spells opportunity, and like that's exciting. And that's why I'm here and why I didn't choose another race.
Yeah, it is like a very difficult formula to get right, though, to like rise to that occasion, though. And some people have it and some people don't. Right? And it's I don't know how coachable that skill is. And you've definitely exhibited it with your 2 podiums here. Speaking a little bit more specifically about your training, you did 2 laps around the mountain.
I did kind of back to the, like, either this is going to work or it's not. I think like some of that too was partially like, I didn't have crazy volume going into it. I didn't have race fatigue going into this block. Like I've been, I wouldn't say like undertrained, but like I'm definitely going into this like more fresh than I normally would be at this point in the year. So, I got out here in mid-July, did a couple big weeks where, I was out on course solo, just kind of doing the hotel thing. And for me, that was just kind of like this really good time to just focus on like me against me putting one foot in front of the other. A lot of like tired mornings, leaving those hotels with tired legs and getting the pulls out and, you know, like getting the body going again. But like, that's, you know, exactly the kind of thing I'd been hungry for so long. So it was also really exciting.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because so many people do the lap in preparation. You did 2, and it seemed like you did them both solo. And I wondered about that like internal experience where, you know, most people are doing it with friends or teammates or training partners, and you were just like on your own.
I mean, for me, I kind of like, I love running with friends and teammates so much, but it also like for me makes the miles like fly by in a way that like I didn't want to have that experience. And of course, like, you know, there've been plenty of other great opportunities out here to like share some runs with teammates, like catch up over meals, hang out. But like I really enjoyed like the long, like kind of the solo grind. Like I've always been a believer in kind of like, you know, like this is all built when no one's watching. Like your best version of yourself is built when no one's watching. And so, you know, yeah, like that was kind of an intentional choice in those training weeks.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like, because you do have a different internal dialogue when you're just out there solo, and you have a much better ability to tune into how you're feeling. And yeah, you do just notice more and it goes more slowly. I think that's something that maybe other athletes could learn from. You know, as fun as it is to do the lap with other people, like maybe there is a time and a place to, you know, have 3 silent days alone on the mountain.
Totally. I mean, and like at least 1 or 2 of those days of both weeks of looping was like me calling Cordis at the end of the day crying and being like, can I do this? Like, am I ready? And he's had to talk me down many times, but like it's emotionally draining to be out there day after day. And like had a couple of good friends who, you know, I was able to like also text in those moments and be like, this is hard. And they're like, yeah, I know.
Well, Ludovic Pomeroy did 2 soft rocks before hard rock. So
it's the magic number.
Just saying, you know, there's some good precedent this summer for doing 2 laps.
Exactly. I guess I'll clarify too. It wasn't like 2 full laps each time. It was like a San Gervais to Argentière.
Come on. It was pretty much 2 laps. So going back to this learning concept, am I right that you haven't run 100 since 2021 Western States?
Yep. Exactly. Yep. Not 100 miler since.
And you've only run 300s, 2 Leadvilles and a Western. 2 Leadvilles were darn near golden hours, both of them.
Exactly.
Western States, you were 14th.
Yep.
So you still have not had an Abby 100 miler.
No.
So bringing it back to the learning concept.
Exactly.
I don't know, because you've been so good from 80K to 120K.
Yep.
You know, what is that, you know, how are you learning for the last, whatever, 40 or 50K?
I mean, a big theme for me as I think like built success over time at like the 100K, 120K kind of distance has been risk taking. And that's something I've not gotten like dialed when I've passed, you know, run 100 milers. So like even in 2021 Western States, I went in with the wrong storyline. I went in with the take it out conservatively and wait for carnage. And like, as we know from many years of watching it, like those days are over now. Like, you know, there's, like I think that year too, it was like no women ahead of me DNF'd, like everyone just ran incredibly. And so like the race tactics are changing a lot. And so, that's like definitely something I've been playing with is I think for my strategy, like going into this weekend is like how much risk I want to take. And obviously knowing that it's quite a bit different taking risks in CCC versus UTMB. The race plays out completely differently. So
that's where I was sort of going with it. You know, obviously like, coming back after whatever, a year and a half away from high level competition, coming to the biggest stage in the world, but knowing that, you know, on your day, you can win this race. It's a very interesting predicament that I see you in. And like, if I were in your shoes, the balance to strike between go for it, like this is an opportunity of a lifetime versus like, hey, let's see where we're at and run through the field. I mean, where do you see yourself on that spectrum, if you can share?
It's a great question. I mean, I do kind of like, I know I keep repeating it, but coming back to this, like it's either going to work or it's not. But I also am definitely anticipating like the grind phase of this race because I do feel like if it was Western States we were getting ready for right now, I would probably say like, you know, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. Like that style of racing and even that style of training, like that would have been a jarring one. But I do feel like, you know, the months on like the bike and all the strength and like all these other elements, the mentality, like that's where I'm really hoping to draw from a lot this weekend. And so, like it's a balance for me between taking risks. But that being said, I feel like anytime I've taken risks in a race, I've not usually regretted it. I mean, and maybe that's because I'm like not coming from like a short distance background. I know that like obviously you can take too many risks, but I'm definitely open to like running in a gutsy way. Yeah.
Yes. It reminds me, in talking to Rod about Western States and his season in general, one of the key, mistakes that he feels that he's made in his career is exactly that of letting the race come to him or waiting for the carnage rather than like asserting himself. And obviously we've seen the results in that change in mindset and strategy from him. I'll let you go, but I'd love to hear, I think I'm going to be asking everybody the same similar ending question, which is just who's going to be crewing for you, why that person, and what has that person meant to you in your career?
I love this question. My husband, Cordis, is going to be crewing for me. And actually, this is the first time he's going to have crewed me out here before, which I'm really excited about. Normally, he's racing himself out here, but he's out here on PTO all week, just supporting me. And I feel so lucky to have his support because, like I alluded to earlier, he has been my support system through all of this. And he has been the person that's kept the spark of my self-belief alive through many a dark times. He's just like held that torch for me. And I think also when I am able to, see him in aid, like it just like seeing him is going to remind me of all of those moments I know he saw. Yeah. And that reminds me to just keep pushing and to not throw in the towel because this is way bigger than a race to me. This is really encapsulating an era of hard work. Yeah. And I'm really proud to represent the team of he and I out there. Shout out Cordis. Well, I'm sure there were a lot of dark moments, but as I said to you before we started, it feels like you handled this so admirably. And I just really respect your mindset and the way that you conduct yourself as a person, as an athlete. And I can't wait to see you race this weekend. This will be a big celebration of a long road back. So thank you so much.
Good luck,
Dylan.
Abby Hall.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.